It's time to pull it out. Looks like Cognitive immediately with that Tyrande ban. We know how dangerous K1 Pro can be if you let him have Tyrande, and I am excited to see
There you
immediately
go.
with the respect ban right back with the Zero tool, exactly what we were talking about.
And I think that comes down to a confidence thing. What it really comes down to is Cloud9 very much feels like they are the better group of 5 players,
Hmm.
and is a strategy usually when they have a large amount of success in when it comes to the meta, they won't even ban directly towards what people expect. It's just if as long as you take your opponents off of what they are absurdly strong at, that you are confident your 5 group of players will be able to win the game. And I think that's what Cloud9 looked to do with that Zeratul ban. Definitely targeting the Glarong, as you said, in that type of situation. Instant response, false dead Sonya coming out from Cloud9.
Definitely, and Cognitive picking up that Zagara as well. We know how important Vision is, as we have seen all day today. And Cognitive picking up Zagara, making sure that they have eyes on at all times. Cloud9, as you mentioned, Sonya and Falstad instant picks. These weren't things that
Yeah.
they had to think about. They said if Sonya and Falstad are available, we're snatching them up immediately.
Yeah, and neglecting the kill thoughts, which cognitive now is hovering, questioning whether or not this is a trap, being considered to be one of the more dominant heroes in the meta right now. Zagara and Kilthos absurdly strong. The map is going to be Garden of Terror here, so keep in mind Vikings Abathur style play is something that could come into play here. Typically, Cloud9 kind of pulls away from that a little bit. ETC being hovered here, that'll be an interesting pickup here. The prioritization of ETC above all else now, especially with the Murden switches in the most recent patch. Cloud9 though, Falstad definitely a big comfort pick, one that K1 Pro has been working on a lot here. Also, you see Arthalon on that once in a while, and Sonya is definitely something that I Dream has been very successful on in the recent past. So no surprise there. Ban I think is going to be a little bit less targeted towards what the people are good at and more about the meta pick, like the Zeratul ban was early on. What do you think you want to see here, Josh?
I'm thinking, if I had to guess, I'm thinking Cloud9 is going to be looking for a healer ban here. Just because of how far we are into this draft. Neither team has chosen their support yet. And I think, yeah, it looks like they're hovering Uther. We may possibly see that Uther ban. Uther, of course, being great in the mix, having so much utility as far as being able to get the distance heals as well as the stuns. Unquestionably great ultimate with the Divine Shield, even after the nerfs we saw a couple of months ago. Still the constant pick for everybody. And of course, we do see that Uther ban going through.
Yeah, and so that takes away from themselves, although keep that in mind. The Sonya, typically we've seen that Sonya be paired with an Uther with a Rhaegar there. So I would suspect that if we don't see a Rhaegar, I know that Dunk very much is prone to running the medic. I think that's one of his favorite heroes overall when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to this
Mm-hmm.
future draft. I feel that Uther ban is blatantly saying that we don't care about the big two, or they're worried about Rhaegar so heavily for Cognitive they're going to snipe it here. But personally, I don't think that'll be the case here for Cloud9. Cognitive questioning the response ban. I figured that Uther might have been what they were looking to, so they're trying to figure out what's going to happen now later in the draft. I definitely, the Zagara with a great amount of sight control and just great laning phase. Tassadar being banned out would be pretty effective for the Super Sonya strategy we kind of seen across the board today,
Yep.
mainly out of Resurgence. The ban's going to go down, especially on this map. The sight is really beneficial from Tassadar. Obviously, it's good on all maps, but this one specifically because in the late game, one minor pick is all it's going to take, and you end up losing an entire Garden Terror and the game now that it shuts down the core.
Definitely. And of course, by removing Tassadar, you also remove the ability to get that Oracle out. It's already relatively easy for certain heroes to clear Zagara's creep, but with Tassadar, it takes all the guesswork out of it, makes it super easy to clean sweep Zagara's area, make sure you get rid of that vision. It looks like Cloud9 is considering a Rainer pick here. Cognitive does basically have 2 ranged, but there's the Morales that you had hinted out earlier. That could be the de facto pick here for the support for Cloud9.
I mean, I want to get too comfortable with saying that this is probably going to look to. Cloud9 would definitely be the team who would troll us with this until the very last second. But if they do end up going with that Dunk and Raynor, Arthalon very comfortable on that Raynor pickup, and Dunk as well on the medic. Obviously, positioning being a relevant thing if they do look to take that. Let's say if they aren't, what tank are they looking to go through? Or, with the Murden changes, it's still possible that they want to look to get the Murden. Obviously, he's still very good.
Yeah.
But overall, King Caffeine definitely well known for his Leoric and well known for his Murden for the most part there. The Morales and the Stitches pickup, I really like this. It's going to be essentially sit back style composition, take the long fight, wait out the pokes, wait out the hooks. Really well done. King Caffeine's a great Stitches player, and also this map is one of his probably stronger Stitches maps in my opinion. From when I played against him in the past, I feel as if He's more influential on Stitches on this map than probably almost any other than Cursed Hollow. He's very good at that map as well. He's very good, that kind of fish in the barrel,
Yep.
Sitting around the objective. Once Fishing Hook comes into play at 16, he's absolutely terrifying there, so I like that. Cognitive looking for the response here, though, Josheb.
Of course, Garden of Terror does have those little boxes of pain that Stitches can hook into. If they do decide to get cheeky and set up for the big hooks into the 2x1 squares, I feel like we could see some people get extremely blown up. But anytime we see Stitches, I'm always hyped for the hooks. Stitches, I feel like, has not gotten enough love until recently. I'm very glad to see him back in tournament play, and I cannot wait to see some fantastic grabs from Cloud9.
No, I agree. What I'm more interested to see, the Vikings pick. That's what I want to see. Okay, so let's talk about the history of Cloud9. They struggle very heavily with Abathur and Viking strategies. You saw actually recently losing a game to Tempo Storm on Towers of Doom to the Vikings play done by Kale.
Yep.
On that map, they historically have always struggled against Abathur's and Viking style play. So Cognitive automatically understanding this, feeling confident in their play, they're going to be looking to pick it up. So Vaughn is going to pick up Hovered here. I don't know if that's going to be the go-to. We'll see. 5 seconds left. 4, 3. But ultimately, the Vikings just being an absurdly powerful tool against Cloud9 for the most part. It looks like they're going to take the Sylvanas and be willing to accept the fact that they can split push if they get those minor wins, because Vikings slightly pulling away from their team fight phase. But that was what I wanted to see out of Cognitive. Understanding that C9 has historically just, like I said, it's not been... Their decision making is very heavily punished by by Lost Vikings when they aren't quick about it, and Cloud9 historically has kind of shown that that's where they struggle. So Cognitive picking that up is a bold move, but I really do like it. Running Stitches as a solo tank here for C9. The hook game's going to be on, and it's going to be pretty awesome. Also, keep in mind Vikings against the Stitches there, being one target that's less valuable to get the hook on, might be a kind of counter strategy. It used to be Abathur, but might be one that they're looking to use here in game number 1 of the semifinals.
Definitely. And one thing that I did want to point out is the confidence in Cognitive. You mentioned that Cloud9 has had problems with Lost Vikings before. Cognitive picked Lost Vikings into a Falstad, who is known to be kind of the anti-Vikings pick. So that just shows you where Cognitive's head is at, is they're like, look, you can have Falstad and we're still going to pick out this pocket pick. We're going to grab Lost Vikings because we know that you've had trouble with them in the past, and we don't think your Falstad has what it takes to stop us from doing what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bold statement. K1 Pro's Falstad there is something to be reckoned with, but this is it. We're going to be going into game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, on Garden of Terror with Cloud9 on the left-hand side versus Cognitive Gaming with their new roster revamped. Even Glarong, of all people, is going to be on that Lost Vikings. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I even in just like in Hero League here. I'm very excited about this game here, but here we go. We are going to see on the left-hand side, we do have Cloud9. We're going to have Dunk Train is going to be on that Medic. iDream is going to be on the Sonya. Arthalon going to be on that Sylvanas. King Caffeine on the Stitches, and K1 Pro is going to be on that Falstad. Keep in mind, Falstad, K1 Pro's Falstad, he has multiple builds that he runs a little bit different than most heroes as well. So we'll be looking at that, or most players will be looking at that through the game.
Of course, on the right side, we do have Cognitive with Caterpillar playing on ETC. We have Kasha playing on Zagara. Faye, of course, on Kael'thas. Iacona playing our Monk, and Glarong, as you mentioned, on the Vikings.
Yeah, and then we see that right at the gates, Glarong is going to split up the Vikings to a tri-lane, so they're going to run a 3-lane soak 4-man skirmish here, but it looks like they're about to go head-to-head. Caterpillar sighting out Cloud9 on the lower half of the map. Will a big hook come into play here? This chokehold, they might try and body block around?
Definitely. Oh, the hook just barely misses. Looks like both teams getting a little bit of poke back and forth. King Caffeine certainly looking for the early hook so they can take that early XP advantage.
Yeah, and so we do see Season Markman being picked up by the Falstad. Nothing too crazy yet out of him. Vikings are going to be soaking in each one of the lanes. Arthalon taking Barb Shot at level 1. What that means is he is looking to split lanes and push as hard as he possibly can onto his opponent in the other 2 lanes where the Vikings are trying to soak. Look for a couple of picks while his opponents are pushing on bottom. And here we go. Cloud9, Cognitive looking to push on the bottom lane. Cloud9 doing their best to defend it here in this 4 versus 3. I really like this counter strategy from C9 to deal with the Vikings. The Sylvanas pickup was really well done. Smart talent choice also from Arthalon here at level 1.
Definitely. And, we did see King Caffeine grab a Viking and quickly bring him in where they were killed. It looks like they're doing a pretty decent job of protecting them down low. I also like the fact that they're giving Cawthon the ability to place down a lot of creep here by supporting her so heavily.
Yeah, and so the Vikings getting this early lead is absolutely what they need to try and snowball this game into their favor. The map objective is not easily taken. Good dodge there from Icona with that Q there. Vikings are actually now 2 people soaking. Arthlon's managed to get an entire front wall on top by himself.
Yep.
That's why that Sylvanas pick was so valuable there. It looks like the early Cs are going to go 1 for 1 here, kind of both sides taking the early ones. Trying to force this team fight, knowing that the Vikings are soaking all 3 lanes. Smart choices here from COG.
Definitely, and it looks like the Cognitive is definitely going to be on the retreat here. King Caffeine with a great hook there, but Power Slide is up and allows Caterpillar to get away without any kind of repercussions.
Yeah, and Glawron getting a little bit poked down there in the mid lane. They do end up losing more seeds than they gain out against Cloud9. This is something that the Vikings need. Like I said, the early game lead is absolutely crucial when running the Vikings. Their team fight is decent, but it's not absolutely great compared to other heroes in the game. That's why it's so crucial to see that. iDream looking to get the skirmish up here, try and take this fight.
Definitely, and it looks like iDream is able to get a little bit of poke in. Unfortunately, they don't have everybody necessary to really push the issue. K1 Pro does fly up, however. Looks like he is going to be able to isolate Zagara, and now we do have iDream going ahead and starting on this top shrub.
Yeah, and Cognitive's going to back out here knowing that they can't win off the 5 versus 4 in this type of situation. But they aren't going to delay either. So getting this trade means they minimize the maximum amount of time, or minimize the amount of time that it takes for the Night Terrors to die, which is the map objective that Vikings are trying to split soak on. This is essentially saying that they're not gaining very much out of having their Vikings because they got the map objective so quick. C9 making that rotation, knowing this is going to be a 4 versus 4 down here.
Definitely, and it looks like Glawron is picked out on one of the Vikings, but he does go down. iDream getting the heals from the medic here, doing a great job of protecting Dunk Train, allowing him to keep up and keep the sustain going. Caterpillar in a lot of trouble here, but it does look like the zoning from Faye is going to enable him to get away.
Yeah, and that was really good peel there to back out of the situation. They understand that they don't have that strong of a team fight. They did lose the early map objective here, but look at top lane. Arthlon been pushing this entire time. Faye is going to look to get the collapse on here to try and make him punish for this. He's going to E out.
He definitely does
E out.
Oh, fantastic juke on that right there. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it away. No, 3 people is enough to put the nail in the coffin for Sylvanas to send the Dark Lady back to the grave.
Yeah, and we sit into a situation where Cloud9 right now has essentially, they do have the Terror here. He looks like he's taking a little bit too much damage here, but they have a Terror, but they haven't fallen behind in XP, which is absolutely crucial. That Sylvanas pick really compensating for a majority of it, also having the top 4 down. So actually maybe debatably almost ahead in XP of their opponents here in the early game, which is not something you like to see on Garden of Terror when you do end up picking the Lost Vikings. So Cloud9 finally kind of dealing with their bane, if you will, on these Vikings so far in the early game.
Definitely. What a great counter pick picking up the Sylvanas. The power of the Vikings certainly getting that XP. iDream's going to place down a plant here, and I think that should be close to enough to finish that fort, but fantastic defense there from Cognitive, preventing them from getting any kind of huge lead here. In the mid lane, we do have King Caffeine pushing for his own, and we do have a split across all 3 lanes here. Fantastic push from Cloud9.
No, really, they're understanding the situation and the advantages of their comp. They realize that soaking all the lanes is really relevant. They know that they have a really hard time clearing out the Terror, so they send the Terror top and they split push on the lower half of the map, maximizing their XP gain. Bam. They get a turn on top, and look at bottom, taking out an entire front wall. They're facing a Vikings, and right now, just from Sylvanas and their split pushing and safe rotations here, skirmish-wise, they only have 1 kill, but they have an entire level lead just because they have taken complete advantage of the rotations and the weak early game of the Vikings.
Definitely, and it does look like the Vikings did manage to get in there and get some bribes off. It's going to be fairly easy for Cloud9 to clean this up, and it doesn't look like they're going to get too much out of it. It did succeed in getting them to pull back, but I think Cloud9 was going to anyway as we go into a Merc phase here.
Yeah, and so Mercs are being controlled. Keep in mind, that is a Clairvoyance coming out there to be a little bit defensive in this type of situation. Interesting choice.
Caterpillar...
It's not even CV. What is that? What did I just... Hello?
Hello, team? It does look like Zagara gets taken down. Several people fully out of position here. I think they wanted to get a little more scouting, but it looks like Caterpillar is probably going to go down as well. They managed to pull in Faye. A fair amount of damage, but she manages to get behind her keep. I think she's going to be okay, but that's a 2-for-nothing trade for not much of anything for Cognitive.
And that was where I missed it. Sorry for being confused there. I was like, I don't see a single support that picked up CV. That is actually Faye on Kilthos with that. So Faye has gone Gathering Power and Clairvoyance here in the early half of this game, and I think that is going to be a build. I didn't actually get to watch it. Other people were talking about that. Fury of the Sunwhale style comp, where she kind of sit back and is a poke oriented. We'll see if the build goes on, but it's not going to be W oriented. It's going to be kind of that old school Q. That was why I was so confused. I apologize about that, ladies and gentlemen. But level 10 being picked up here. Bile coming out. Mighty Gus is nothing too crazy actually across the board here for their level 10s on Cloud9. But iDream getting a little bit caught out here on the top lane.
Yeah, iDream looks like he's going to pay for that tremendously. But no, he does manage to get away despite the Flame Strike coming out there from Faye. In the mid lane, we do have K1 and Arthalon going ahead and cleaning these up. At the top, of course, Cognitive is maintaining control of the top shrubs, and it looks like they're going to be able to get a Terror out of it.
Yeah, and so they do end up getting the Terror, but that's because they lost the Terror in the first phase. What really comes down to is who wins the big Terrors from this point on, because they have Vikings on their team and they're already losing the early game. They absolutely need this objective. Cognitive needs this map objective, or they're going to have a really hard time winning this game. Great flank with King Caffeine with that Bile.
Definitely. Prevents the escape from the Monk. The silencing arrow making sure that they can't power slide away. As soon as it's down, he does manage to get out. But Cloud9 reaping the benefits of Cognitive pulling this shrub almost all the way to death. They are going to be able to take that, and that is going to allow them to get almost all the seeds there. Meanwhile, we do have them diving back in. Caterpillar, with the focus on Dunk Train, quickly pulls him down. King Caffeine is waddling away. And in the mid lane, we do have Glaurung starting to push with that middle shrub.
Yeah, that was really smart. Glaurung getting in the Terror as soon as possible to try and start that split push. And then Cognitive actually taking absolute full advantage of that creep on the upper half of the map, realizing that their opponents are making a cocky rotation, staying, getting the pick on Dunk because he can't heal himself, and now getting a free front wall. Really good job in order to try and make a small comeback here in a game that they've kind of fallen away in the other game. Keep in mind, they still do kind of suffer when it comes to the team fight phase, especially because now we do see Glaurung. For those who didn't notice, Glaurung does have play again, which takes away from his team fight by quite a large amount, unless he's going to spawn all of them on one person on the end of the late game and start this fight. But C9 showing why they are such a dominant team here for the most part, dealing with this Vikings very, very well in the early half of this game. The next, whoever gets the next Terror is really going to kind of show where the mid game is going to rotate for the rest of this game, largely just because with that Vikings, with that weak team fight phase that they have already provided kind of with their composition, if they do not win the Terrors and get heavy amounts of siege and keep falling behind structurally to C9, it's going to be very, very hard for them to win this game.
Definitely. And down here at the bottom, we're seeing kind of a replay of what happened up top. Cloud9 allowing them to wail on the Terror for a short amount of time, but then they start moving in. Fantastic push there from K1. Dunk Train. Play again is out. There's the 7-sided strike. iDream is going down. It looks like he is finally going to fall. And it looks like Cognitive did get the better of that interaction. Go ahead.
No, they did really well there. Play again coming out to be kind of team fight oriented too as well on that lower half. But going 1-for-1 in this situation is honestly a win for the most part with Vikings. Oh, Stim Drone coming out here too. Cognitive, Icona looking to be a little bit rough, but he will survive there. K1 Pro, Bile coming out from the stitches there, and they do end up winning the Terror. So going 1-for-1 is a pretty close to even trade here, but really when it comes down to it, I do think C9 walks away from that advantage, largely just because, again, if they don't fall behind in the early game, the later this game goes, the stronger their comp is comparative to their to their opponents, excuse me.
Definitely, and I certainly want to point out just the bullying that Cloud9 is showing off. Every time Cognitive starts to get on a Terror, they let them get about half its health down, and then they just come in and kind of stand next to it. Like, you guys want to do this? It's kind of like they're throwing down in that Whole Foods parking lot you talked about earlier. Yeah.
No, they're definitely throwing down, and really that's because of the Vikings pick on their comp. They do not have a direct, straightforward team fight unless there's a massive Maw zoning, obviously from other ultimates, but they've kind of set themselves down by not having the most straightforward ultimate and team fighting with the Vikings there. So iDream, great hook on Faye coming out here.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they were waiting to get... Oh, my goodness. Fantastic gank from Caterpillar onto the medic there. Faye is waddling away. She is so low on health, and she is going to go down. iDream taking that Terror to a new level there. Here comes the Bile from King Caffeine, but it does look like that's going to be about the end of the kills in this engagement. Glaurung is going to lose another Viking, but that's going to buy his team time to pull back and miss the hook there on Coffin.
I mean, they do end up going 1-for-1 here. Arthalon's actually going to get soloed on the bottom half of the map to the Vikings as well there. I don't know if play again was used in that situation. It was in order to ensure the kill on Arthalon. So, but structurally, bottom front wall on this keep being taken out almost solely by Arthalon. 16 tier advantage being reached for Cloud9 here. And again, with that Vikings kind of level style play, the more they fall behind in this early game, the worse it's going to be. So really good job denying Cloud9 on the map objectives. iDream's going to be in a rough spot here. He does have 13 tier talent spear, so he might be able to pull out a wall here. Somebody's going to be looking to body block, but Dunk Train going to be able to be there to help him out here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get away without too much trouble. King Caffeine doing a great job of body blocking, making sure that ETC isn't going to try and slide in there, and that's going to give them the ability. I'm still super taken aback every time I see the clairvoyance from Faye.
Oh, my seven-sided,
wow.
man.
Fantastic seven-sided strike there from Iacona. The heals from Dunk Train are able to keep iDream up, and it looks like now they've completely turned it around. iDream getting the stem. Three-man Maw comes out. Are they going to follow up with this? Mainly defensively, it looks like K1 does manage to get out of the way. Great juke there from Zagara, managing not to get hooked from Stitches.
Yeah, and so we do see the fishing hook coming out from Stitches. Also, keep in mind, Faye did end up running with the flamethrower build, so at 16, we will see Fury of the Sunwell. It will be a poke-oriented composition. I'm interested in that decision-making, largely because they do see Medic is going to be sitting in the backline. There you go, looking for that large poke on her, so that's really well done. That's going to be kind of a soft counter to her. But with Maw down, they're looking to siege up here. Unless a big mosh comes into play, there's no answer from this Viking composition. Play, again, is just so hard to team fight with there. They just get a small pick there, and then it's just going to be almost no response there from Cognitive. Glarung getting a bit picked up a little bit here on the top lane, it looks like. But C9 just establishing dominance on the map. Map objective is going to be slightly in their favor, and not falling behind on these Vikings, exactly what they need. But Caterpillar, aggressive positioning here.
I was going to say, it looked like Cloud9 was trying to pick up the Merc Camp from them, but Caterpillar in a very aggressive position. Bio popped here to make sure that his team has the time to get away. Great move from King Caffeine there to make some space for his team to get out.
Yeah, and all they need to do at this point, if you are Cloud9 and you sit with a keep up at this point, really comes down to just not taking any fight you don't have to risk. They do have 20 tier advantage here. Caterpillar with really aggressive positioning. Realize that Arthalon might be out of position a little bit. Seven-sided strike, great knockback to ensure it, but King Caffeine almost going down. His E is out, the body blocks, and Caterpillar ensures a kill. Bribe on the Giants of the upper half of the map, but this is going to be a 4 versus 5 during these seeds. This is what Cognitive needs to make a comeback here. This is a tempo swing in their favor. If they manage to dominate the seeds on the rest of the map and are able to dominate with the map objective and actually use that as a siege potential to try and come back here, they have a chance.
I'm super surprised that they actually decided to stay. Fantastic Mod's going to isolate iDream. Arthalon does come in with a great silencing arrow. That is going to completely turn this fight around. Invulnerability coming out. iDream chasing him down. There's 2 left here. Fantastic turnaround. Oh my goodness, that silencing arrow completely changing it. K1 Pro's not done yet. He says, where are you going, Iacona? But Iacona may be able to get away here. Looks like he is going to go down. Fantastic aggressive play. Caterpillar down at the bottom, meanwhile, trying to limp away. The stem coming onto Sonya is kind of insult to injury, and he goes down as well.
It was for the movement speed to make sure that he died, but he mounted up without getting dispatched by the minions. So it was actually to 100% ensure that kill. He didn't need to, but it worked out. They get 4 men, and they're going to go for core here. We have 3 people dead. The only person to respond to this at all is going to be Glarung, and it's going to be Cognitive's Faye, possibly here. Gus going to come out to get the peel. She has to hit a huge combo if she even stands a chance here. We got 75% on the core. It's not going to be enough. As long as they remain on the core, this is going to be GG here. And Cloud9 dealing with those Vikings almost flawlessly, getting a level lead before level 13 here, and then ended up just snowballing the map advantage, taking the fights because they know that they have a weak team fight, just pushing as hard as they possibly can, really showing why they are the expected team to win here in the first round, or in the first game of the semi-finals.